So let's say if I had a woman and she was my girlfriend, she doesn't need to make money as long as she makes my life easier to be able to make money. And that's just as much as a help as me making money.
Here's the difference. It wouldn't work the other way around, that's my point. If she worked and you helped her out behind the scenes,
why not?
It probably wouldn't work because women don't like to provide for men long term.
It depends on the situation.
Women are not going to provide long term for men the same way that men will provide long term for women. What's up, man?
Oh, no, I just want to see what you got going on.
Oh, you want to see the sign?
Yeah, let's see. Women deserve less?
Women deserve less. Change my mind, yes.
Why do you think women deserve less?
Well, there's a bunch of different reasons, but I would say to make it nice and simple, we got too many simps out here.
What's the constant variable of what they currently have of deserving that they should deserve less of?
Oh, look, she flipped the middle finger up. She's so mad. Can't defend your ideas, just got to put a middle finger up, I see. So sorry, what was that question?
So yeah, I said, what's that constant variable that women currently deserve that have that you think they should have less of? What's that they have right now that they're getting?
What is it that they have?
That they're getting.
Oh, man. Well, here's the thing. They get preferential treatment. They're able to be treated like a lady while simultaneously being able to behave like men with almost zero consequence. They could basically double dip. You can enjoy the benefits of being treated like a lady, right? Enjoy chivalry and, you know, traditional male standards like men treating them like ladies, while simultaneously they can also behave rude, erratic, crass, with zero consequence.
Can't men do the same thing?
No, we can't.
No.
We're actually held to standards unlike women.
You think so?
Yes.
For
example, you, right? How old are you?
I'm 20.
You're 20. So who do you think is going to have more value in society, you or a 20-year-old girl?
Depends which 20-year-old girl, because me, physically, I work my ass off and I'm, focused and do what I need to do. I'm sure there's a woman that's 20 years old that does the same thing.
Okay, here's the beauty.
There's a majority that
you
don't
said you
do
work
that.
your ass off, right?
Of course.
Why do you work your ass off?
I mean, because I don't ever want to have my mom working a day in her life. That's all
Cool.
it is.
So there's a burden of performance on you, right? You have to work.
I have to. No one has to work.
Well, if you didn't work, your status would decrease. Fair?
Not necessarily. Nowadays, no.
Yeah, it would decrease. So the reason why you're working is because you kind of know it's like an unspoken reality that men have to perform. But if I took a 20-year-old girl, she doesn't have to work. You do. That's my point.
I mean, working is one thing, because women, they can work in other ways. It doesn't just have to be like a 9-to-5 making money. They can work in supporting and doing things around the house. For example, if you have a team of people, not every single person is just bringing in money. Someone helps someone else to support them throughout their daily life to assist them to make that money. So let's say if I had a woman that was, living with me and she was my girlfriend, she doesn't need to make money as long as she makes my life easier to be able to make money. And that's just as much as a help as me making money.
Here's the difference. It wouldn't work the other way around. That's my point. If she worked and you helped her out behind the scenes,
why not?
It probably wouldn't work because women don't like to provide for men long term.
It depends on the situation. It depends on the person.
90+% of women do not want to be a breadwinner for a man ever.
That's
ever.
not true.
That's propaganda, feminist propaganda. Women, if they out-earn their man or they're in a position where they're in a leadership role, there's a very high likelihood they will leave you.
My mother's a perfect example of that. It's the complete opposite, so I don't
Is she with your dad still?
Of course.
Okay, and how long have they been married?
They got married, high school sweethearts, since they were, I believe, 18. They got married, moved here together.
And was your mom the breadwinner the entire time?
They were 50-50.
Okay, and then what is it now? Now she's the breadwinner?
At first, it was my dad. Well, basically, my mom went to school, my dad worked. Then my mom worked because she got her degree. And
he
my
put
dad
her through school.
Then went to school. And now they both work, and I would say that my mom has a more consistent and, makes more money than my dad. And that completely discredits to a point of what you're saying, because there's a degree where my dad wasn't working, assisting her.
Well, you also got to understand that anecdotal evidence, like based on your own personal experience, doesn't necessarily reflect the rest of the world. So though that might be your situation with your parents, which is great, a lot of the times that's just not the reality. And the other thing also that you need to understand is that your father was the breadwinner for a significant amount of time in the relationship.
How do you know it's significant? What if I say 2 years?
Well, those 2 years is where she was able to go to school, right?
And vice versa when he went to school.
Okay, but he put her through school. So he allowed her to basically be able to go to school, and he
put him through school. Yes,
that's very important.
Put each other through school.
That's very, very important. That's a pertinent fact to the situation. But again, like I said before, women, right, are not going to provide long term for men the same way that men will provide long term for women. Also, I think it's important to understand that your parents had a longer relationship. So by the time that everything planned out and she's being the breadwinner, she's a bit older. She might not be able to enter the dating marketplace the same level.
Can you elaborate on the word provide?
I'm sorry?
Can you elaborate on what you mean by provide?
You said she was the majority breadwinner, right?
Disregard what my situation was in my family. I want you to elaborate and describe what you mean providing, a woman providing is. What do you see that as?
The reality is this, man. So I know this is considered politically incorrect to say this, but most women do not want to be the breadwinner for men. They just don't. Now, they'll sit there and have the feminist propaganda and say, I'm a boss bitch and I'll make a bunch of money and I'll do X, Y, Z. But the reality is when women say I'm independent, you got to ask yourself, who are they independent of? It's men. They do that to say, I don't need a man, and they make that money for themselves. When a man makes money, he says, how can I have a family? When a woman makes money, she says, I don't need a man. Completely different mindsets when we make a certain amount of money.
So providing, essentially, you're talking about monetarily when it comes to money.
Yes, when it comes to, yes, being a breadwinner. Men are far more comfortable and built to provide for women than women are for men. If a woman is in a provider situation, the likelihood of that relationship falling apart is very high. Now, there's some situations like yours where it was able to work. But I do think it's important to understand that your dad had a bit of equity there where he helped her get to the position that she's at. So there's some level of reciprocity there now that, you know, she's making the money. But in most situations, women are not okay with providing long-term for men, especially now.
So on a follow-up question, you're talking about providing as a woman or a man is just monetary. What would success look like for you as a human being?
For me?
Mm-hmm. As a human being, what does success look like?
Having a nuclear family, having a woman that respects you and obeys you. You make the decisions, you're the head of the household, and bringing it back to what it was before. But this whole like equal partnership stuff that we push out there, it's not true. It's all a lie.
So you're saying being able to support and, you know, have a woman that supports you is what success looks like for you as a human being?
Yes, you support financially, and obviously you're the bedrock, and she takes care of the children in the home and have defined gender roles. I think that's very important.
And as a person, more, what would you be happy with yourself? Let's say you're on your deathbed and you're looking back. What would you look back on and say, wow, that was success?
I think when you're on your deathbed, the only thing that matters looking back is, did you create a legacy and do you have a family? I think you want to be on that deathbed with people surrounding you that you've helped create to some degree.
So what if, let's say on my deathbed, I have $100 million there, and when I look back, I was like, damn, I was a shitty person. You know, I didn't do a lot of things. I wasn't so wise, I wasn't so kind, but instead you maybe had that same amount of money, but you had a woman that instilled those values in you and your family. I think that's worth more than any $100 million could count for.
I agree. I think less money and a family is far more important than more money and no family. I agree.
And a woman brings that.
I agree. All right, thank you. Who's up next? He is? Sure, whoever wants to come up next.
I'm gonna come on.
What's up?
How you doing?
Yo.
I can do that. Just adjust this. Just adjust this. So yeah, just hold that. I got it. I did this for a little while, I know. So that's your book, Why Women Deserve Less?
Yes.
Why?
Why?
Yeah. I just want context, so as we talk, I want to understand your mindset, so we're going to have a debate or a conversation. I want to make sure.
Well, I think men simp on women too much. I think that's one of the main ones. I think a lot of guys don't make women earn their keep. And we've created a pretty shitty marketplace for that. That's created a lot of issues.
So you think men have created it or the women have created that?
Both parties are responsible to a degree.
Okay.
Both have their contributions to the deregulation and the problems that we have.
So do you think what specifically made you come to this whole concept of women deserve less?
Many years of pondering.
That's it?
Many years of pondering,
You
yes.
married?
Many years of pondering.
You married?
No.
You got a baby mama?
No.
No kids?
No.
You don't want kids?
Not right now. But in the future,
How old
yes.
are you? How old are you?
35.
Okay. You got time.
Yeah.
You got till 55 and you good. So you can go crazy. I just need to understand. I'm trying to understand why, because none of your rationale right now makes sense at all. Because you're telling me what you think and I'm telling you what I think right now. So it just doesn't make sense.
All right, what doesn't make sense?
So you talked to the young man about his parents. He had a great, because that's his world. His mom actually makes more money than his dad, but they've been together since they were 15, 18, I don't know what he said.
I don't know how long.
But I think the whole concept of him saying that is a lot of people who experience, and there's nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, they helped each other to make that beautiful young man be able to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, but we also have to be realistic and understand that that's not the norm. Most women are not okay with being breadwinners in a relationship. And then obviously when you explained it a bit more, it made a bit more sense. because his father was in a breadwinner position and then assisted his mom with being able to go to school.
They did.
So
They
that she
assisted
did
each
it?
other. They assisted each other.
Yes, he was the breadwinner for a period of time to allow his
Right.
mom
She went
to go
to
to school.
and then
Exactly.
they flipped it.
Exactly.
Which
So-
was great. They had an understanding, right?
Yes, but that's not the
communication.
norm, and that's not what typically happens. I mean, you know, we have a very high divorce rate. We have a lot of the decline of marriage in America, and I don't blame the guys for not getting married because there's not really much benefit now getting married for a man.
So it's not any benefit for being married for a man.
Virtually none, no. I mean,
Okay.
I think that there's any benefit. I mean, I'll ask you this. What benefit does a guy get from marrying a woman that he doesn't get from just being in a regular long-term relationship?
Depends on what you want.
Okay,
So
well,
a benefit.
what those benefits
Let's
mean?
go through. Let's go. Some men just want an arm piece. Some men want somebody they can grow old with. Some men want somebody they can make money with.
You
Some
can
men,
do all that without being married.
No,
That's my point.
No, we're talking about benefits. We're not. That's all. No, we just talking about benefits. If you decided when you decide to get married,
All right, let me ask the question
Okay.
again. What I asked you was, what benefit do men get from getting married from a woman that they otherwise would not get from just being in a regular relationship?
What's
There's
It
none.
doesn't-
It's a trick
that's-
question. There's almost none.
but that's personal though. That it's personal why a person gets married.
I would
They-
say that's fairly. I mean, like I said before, if they choose to get married, that's one thing, but they're not
but
getting
that's-
any real
but
benefits
that-
for so.
Right,
for doing
they're
so.
choosing to get married.
But
so
they don't get benefits. If anything, they
the
get
only reason you
liability.
get married because you're in love with the person, or you have some religious reason that you get married.
Again, I'm speaking
or-
very pragmatically, and I'm giving you a pragmatic situation, and you're responding with kind of an emotional response. I'm saying that with men,
You know,
right,
hold on
there's-
one second.
There's no benefit.
Just because I raise my voice doesn't make me emotional. That makes you're talking like a woman now.
No, I'm
So-
actually just telling you
so
very
that
pragmatically.
doesn't make me. I'm just talking.
I'm telling you
and
very pragmatically.
Hey, I'm big. My voice raises. You might get intimidated a little bit.
Not
We're
at
just
all.
having fun. I'm enjoying this. This is where I stop because I think you're amazing.
Yeah.
I want to tell you
no,
you're amazing.
I'm just saying, pragmatically speaking, there's no benefit to a man getting married in the West anymore. There's almost none.
So
If
why
anything,
they
it's,
get
only,
West-
it's only downside. And I asked you, can you name one thing that a man would get as a benefit from getting married in this day and age? And you mentioned some things, but those things can all be attained in a regular relationship without getting married.
But again, you can't. That's fine. You can say that, but that's a choice. It's still a choice. I get what you're saying.
I asked
I'm
a
not
very
disagreeing.
direct question. And
No. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but
Okay.
also on my side, that's still a choice. Like if I decide to get married to her right now, because she's beautiful and I love curly hair,
Okay.
and that's my thing. So what? You can't tell me no different. And if I feel good about that, cool. At some point we get divorced. That's my fault because I chose her. I didn't talk to her.
Okay,
I didn't get to
think
know
we've
her.
reached kind of an impasse here. Who's up next?